principal, our leader, is going to give us some additional words. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate you guys being here this evening. A little farther away. Thank you again to the Deering so much for hosting this beautiful home. I appreciate the opportunity to have a gathering like this to be able to talk and have conversations with you. I want you to know that whether can I just speak without I'm gonna go teacher voice here. So I want you to know that Erin, my beautiful wife, is right there in the middle, and I'm just gonna tell a quick secret. Erin has been looking for the middle school for my daughter, who is in 6th grade, to go to since she exited the womb. So it has always been something that she was worried about. Something about middle school is really a scary time for parents. Yeah. And so we had decided, before I ever had the opportunity to sit down with JWJ teachers and leaders and see if I was a good fit for them, that JWJ was going to be the school for Emily. Some of the same things that Carol said were the same things that we saw. I know you're only supposed to tour schools when you're the parent of a 5th grader. We toured schools when we were the parent of a 4th grader. And JWJ was absolutely the place that we believed Emily was going to be successful because of so many of the reasons that she is listed. For those of you that have had students at JWJ historically, you know the great things that have happened. Last year, we got our 22nd consecutive A. Every year except one was an A for JWJ. It was the year 2000. I graduated in the year 2000. I don't know what happened with the Department of Education, but both JWJ and Stanton got a C, and it was the only C that they've gotten in the last 22 years. I went back and compared. So something must have gone wrong in 2000, but it's the only time that JWJ has not gotten an A. Last year, coming out of COVID, our first real year of school since that 18-19 year, JWJ improved their score 54 points. That was a huge gain. It was the largest gain that JWJ has ever made, but spoiler alert, the year before was also the largest drop that JWJ had ever made. So while I'd like to say that was an amazing thing and we should get lots of credit for it, it was also kind of compensating for what we know that students went through and some of the bad things that they experienced. That Duval homeroom thing that we tried, it was all right, but we got the results that we got because sometimes we're kids, we're on the screen and paying attention, and sometimes the screen was on and the teachers were talking to nobody. But we were aware of that and we were doing the best that we could with what we had at the time. What I want you to know is that 54-point gain is something that I hope that we build on this year. Not that we're going to go to 58 or 65 or anything like that, because as you may have seen from some of the student scores, our benchmarks are completely different this year. So we really don't know what to expect. The teachers are learning the benchmarks, the students are learning the benchmarks, but we're in this together. And what I can promise you is that the teachers that are with us at JWJ are committed to the school and committed to your students. They want to make sure not only that your students are academically successful, but that your students become great kids, become great adults. We want, and I say this if you've heard any of my recruiting pitches to parents all the time, because I believe this 100%. Ms. Majova at Stanton, Dr. Turner at Paxson, Mr. Begley at Wolfson, I want them to see the magnet list and to say, yes, I got 35 kids from JWJ. That's going to be my president of my NJHS. That's going to be my leader of student council. That's going to be not just a kid that comes in and does well on the IB test or the AP test, but this is a kid that comes in and makes Wolfson a better school, that makes Stanton a better school, that becomes the alumni that comes and gives back to organizations like Friends of JWJ or organizations like Stanton or things like that. Because if we're just creating little brains that are running around, they're going to do some cool stuff, but they're not going to make an impact on the world. And what I want is I want kids that come back to JWJ, that are giving back to this school, that are giving back to their high school, that are giving back to our city because of things that happened to them when they were at JWJ. So what we are doing every day really matters, and what you have the opportunity to do in supporting that, I think, is really significant, and I can't undersell. My daughter Emily is in 6th grade. And again, I have used this previously, and I will use this until she is no longer a student at JWJ. It works out that my son James is a 4th grader, so he'll have 2 more years behind us. So if you've got elementary school kids, you're going to hear this for the next 5 years. But I have a 5-year plan at JWJ. Emily is a 6th grader. And if you are in my seat, if you are in my position and you had the opportunity to positively impact the school that your student would go to, you would do everything in your power to make sure it was the best school and they had the best experience of their life. And you have my word that I'm doing the same thing. And that I'll continue to do the same thing for the next 5 years and beyond. Because if I'm invested in this school for 5 years, for 6 years, I'm happy to retire at this school, because the opportunity that we have to impact students, the opportunity that we have to impact our community happens through JWJ. I think personally it happens through public education and through the opportunities that we can change the mindset of 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds. Because if your student is anything like mine, we spent many, many nights sitting at the dining room table crying the first 9 weeks. Because the transition from elementary school to middle school is a lot. But I hope that what they experience at JWJ prevents them from experiencing that same transition in 9th grade. And when they're at Stanton, when they're at Paxton, when they're at Wolfson, if they're at an early college program, wherever they move to from JWJ, that it's just the way of work. They just go into 9th grade, and 9th grade's just like 8th grade. It's just different classes, different teachers, different content. But they understand the expectations of what it means to work hard and what it means to be a good representative in your school and a good representative for your family. So I'll echo what Carol said. I would love to let this group be one of the agencies that propels us forward. One of the things that our teachers really need is a good teacher's lounge. Like, literally the place on our campus that says Teacher's Lounge has got to look exactly like it did when it was Paxton Middle School 14 years ago. Like, it's the same equipment, it's the same couch, and I'll put that in quotations marks because I don't call that thing a couch. But if you haven't joined PTSA, please do so. If you haven't participated in SAC, please do so. We're in the process of redoing our media center. We've gotten some new equipment in there. We've gotten a couple new screens and things in there. We're going to continue to refurb that area. And I'd really like on my end to kind of be able to take one space each year and utilize the connections and utilize the things that we know that we can do with district money and make those areas better. And knowing that I have an impactful organization like you guys beside me that can be doing the same thing makes me really excited and encouraged for what I know JWJ is going to be. I appreciate you guys being here this evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.